What Are We by CK featuring Davido, Focalistic and Abidoza, bringing us to 18 minutes after 4 Central African time. We're going to be getting into that conversation about coding. I think it's such a brilliant initiative assisting parents, rather not parents, teachers, getting acquainted to coding and what the Tangible Africa is doing is providing support through WhatsApp chatbots to teachers from grades R to 7 in mastering this new coding and robotics curricula for South Africans in particular. And this tool really offers weekly lessons and archives previous content and creates a platform for feedback and queries with a focus on accessibility and inclusivity, something that is very important to South African schools because of the disparities of access to privileged information. And we are joined on the line by Professor Jean Greyling, HOD of Computing Sciences at Nelson Mandela University. Professor Jean, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Really a pleasure to talk to you. We love talking about our passionate project.
We are going to get right into it, Prof, after this short break. It's 20 minutes after 4 Central African time.
The Midnight Snack with Shandulu Gege.
Most of us are going home, and I have to admit, I used to have someone that I would only date during December holidays, and after that, we are strangers. You don't talk to me, you don't call me, you are my December person. It ends there. That's it. And we had our own spot. Whenever I go past that tree now, I look at the tree and I'm like, if this tree could talk, if this tree could tell you what Shandu is capable of doing or what he's been up to,
The person is married, so when she comes back home, she's my December person. I'm single, so I guess the heavyweight when we go into hell is gonna be on her side. But she's coming back next week, Friday, and up until she leaves, she's my person. And yes, we see each other almost every day. During the year, we don't talk, completely don't talk. We don't talk at all.
The Midnight Snack with Shandulu Gege, 12 to 3 a.m. This is The Upside for the best African vibes. Groundbreaking content.
All right, indeed, groundbreaking content, and something that's been groundbreaking for quite some time now is without a doubt coding. And we are chatting to Professor Jean Greyling, who is the HOD of Computer Sciences at the Nelson Mandela University and founder of Tangible Africa. I still remember when the first time I really started getting engaged with computers around floppy disks, and then we would have that green screen with a turtle where they were teaching you to move this turtle right, left, and make a square out of it. I'm not sure if you remember all of that, Professor. But nonetheless, we are now coding and quite excited about the Tangible Africa. Tell us, what is Tangible Africa?
Yeah, Tangible Africa was kind of birthed in 2017 here at Nelson Mandela University. As you said, I'm from computing sciences, and one of my honor students, Byron Batterson, fourth year postgrad, came to me and he said, Prof, we need to develop something to teach kids coding in the thousands of schools in South Africa who do not have computer labs, sometimes don't even have electricity nor internet. So it was all birthed through a fourth-year postgrad project.
Lovely.
And what we did in those days is we developed an app called Tanks. We now have many other apps where you use tangible puzzle pieces, physical puzzle pieces to build code. You take a photo of it and your code executes on your screen. So you basically need a very basic smartphone. And we teach the kids through this. We teach them the coding concepts that I would teach first years at varsity. And I think that any professor across the world would teach first years at varsity. So we started with that in 2017, and we've expanded, added new materials. We've now, on 4 continents, we've reached about 200,000 kids. We've trained nearly 50,000 teachers in what we call tangible or unplugged coding as a solution for developing countries where the vast majority of schools don't have computers, and even bigger number of teachers that don't have any coding background. So our materials are implementable by teachers, sometimes with limited training. I always say that in 2021 I went on a road trip through South Africa, did training for 4 hours, and some of those teachers are still running in their schools after never seeing me again.
Sure.
So we believe in low budget, no budget, low barrier of entry, but still quality. So it became relevant with the gazetting of the curricula last year, where the government wants to roll this out from grade R. And we said, no, we need to get on board.
Prof, tell us how your lessons align, if at all, with the CAPS coding and robotics curriculum.
Yeah, we've tasked 4 to 5 teachers that have been in the classroom for many years. None of them are coding teachers. We said to them, okay, go and look at the curriculum. For the listeners, there's a curriculum from grade R to 3, and then from 4 to 6 and 7 to 9. So we said to the teachers, now go and read this curriculum and think what works in class. So they would take a portion of the curriculum and then develop a lesson based on their experiences that work in class, all what we call offline, no devices involved, all interactive. But we teach the kids and the teachers, in a sense, the concept that's being taught in the curriculum. We in a good space that the foundation phase curriculum, grade R to 3, that's being implemented next year, is all unplugged. So the idea would be that whole curriculum can be implemented in a formal way without devices. So we're calling this demystifying the curriculum. Teachers from grade R to grade 7 are getting weekly lessons from us. At the top it says it's this part of your curriculum, and then the lesson is implementable without any training. So we're making the teachers aware of what's going on in the curriculum. We're also making them less scared of the curriculum because they can see, but I can do this. And then our learners, the schools where it's implemented, obviously get the advantage of getting to know the unplugged concepts of coding, which is the same concepts that you would teach in a very fancy lab, and to be taught problem solving, computational thinking, strategy, group work. I can go on and on.
On the African continent, which countries do you guys do this on?
Well, the lessons are focused on the South African curriculum.
Okay.
I've literally just come off a meeting with Zimbabwe, where they are interested in implementing the lessons anyway, although it's not aligned with their curriculum. But we also have a footprint already in countries like Ghana, Uganda, Kenya. We're talking to Tunisia. We've got a footprint in Nigeria, Mozambique, Botswana, Zimbabwe. So, we're in a few countries in Africa, but then also in Asia, South Korea, Indonesia, across Europe, North America, and we're going to South America in May. Interesting, when we talk them all, let's call them the developed countries, where the problem is not little devices, the problem is too much technology. So when we go into North America and Europe, the teachers are saying, wow, we like your way of doing things, but at least the kids are now talking to each other. They're off their devices for most of the time. So we're speaking into needs into different continents at the moment.
So that's very interesting to me because by its very nature, I thought that coding requires the use of devices, internet connectivity, and I thought, in fact, you've surprised me in this conversation because you haven't cited those as fundamental challenges to your program's success. How are you navigating that?
Yeah, that's an ongoing debate. The concept of unplugged coding outside of computers is first of all a debate we had to participate in nationally, because many people saw that as inferior to teaching kids to move a little robot or sit on a computer. My logic as a professor in computer science, I've been teaching introductory programming now for 30 years, is that at primary school I don't need to develop software developers. I need to, first of all, create enhanced problem-solving
concepts, right, okay.
And I need to introduce them to the coding concepts. That doesn't mean they do Java or Python or whatever. They introduce to, for the listeners that know coding, the concepts of loops, the concepts of if statements, of while loops, etc. And by introducing those concepts to them, we're preparing them for the future. We're making them aware of coding. but much bigger. We always say it's not really about coding. It's about getting them to think creatively, to think how to solve problems. And even in the curriculum from grade 4, they don't teach the kids traditional coding, Python, etc. They're going to teach them Scratch, which is also block coding. Don't want to get too technical. And what we do without computers is also block coding. So the same kind of coding concepts that kids in grade 7 in a fancy school will be doing in a computer lab, we will be teaching under a tree using a phone. And literally, when I say under a tree, I can show you photos of kids doing coding under a tree.
I like this thing that you guys have started. It's a pity the public can't join, right?
Well, there's ways of joining. We don't just work with schools. We have a lot of NGOs that participate. One of our biggest implementation partners, especially in Africa, is libraries. Joburg Libraries, eThekwini, Ekurhuleni, Cape Town are all part of our project. And we've got big library participation in countries like Ghana, Uganda, and Kenya. Yeah, so when we say public, they can reach out to me and we can see whether there's a way. The games themselves, a game pack, if you sell them, but we try to get them sponsored, is 150 Rand. So it's very, very cheap compared to the other products out there. We always say if you want to buy a robot for your school, it's going to cost you 7,000 Rand and 5 kids can play on the robot. Our game pack costs 150 and you use your phone. So we're really trying to get a biggest possible footprint without losing the quality.
Professor Jean, I am ecstatic at this program, and I hope that many more teachers as well as students get access to it, because I think that if anything, if without these fancy gadgets, it will introduce them to the world of coding in a way that, will set them up once they do have the fancy gadgets. Thank you very much.
Is there a way of giving some contact if people want to contact?
Absolutely. Please go ahead.
Okay, so my email address is Jean, Jean, Greyling at mandela.ac.za. Or I always say in these day and age, you just Google Tangible Africa and you'll find our website and there's a contact form. That's probably the easiest. Yeah. Tangible Africa website.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Professor Jean Greyling, HOD of Computing Sciences at Nelson Mandela University and founder of Tangible Africa. Do check them out on the web. It is 30 minutes after 4 Central African time. Tabisolo Hoka standing by.